What is good, defenders, and welcome to episode 383. It's a scarf episode of sorts, ending in 83. I don't know, we'll go with it. Of the most LAFC podcast on the interwebs. This is Defenders of the Bank. Let's take a minute to celebrate Carlos Vela, celebrate Denis Bouanga, and of course to remember Dustin in the stands and all around the stadium. It was absolutely an incredible night at BMO. The cotton candy clouds were in the air. The $36 combination to get a Carlos Vela bucket and cup were at BMO. There were scarves, there were shirts. You could spend a lot of money on Carlos Vela swag if you wanted to at Noche de Carlos Vela, but it was all worth it in the end. You know my voice. It's the scarf. J.R. Liebert coming to you live from Lawndale. And of course, across the interwebs from world-famous Philomonster Studios, someone who I'm a little jealous of because he fits in the large T-shirt that they gave away. If I tried, it would be a midriff. I give you one, Christian Philemon.
We've got joy, we've got fun, we've got Denny, we've got sun. Let the wind total climb, and may we whoop ass all the time. Shout out and apologies to the great Terry Jacks. I may have stolen or modernized, whichever you prefer, your legendary song, Seasons in the Sun. But it popped into my mind, and when my mind goes, it goes. Yes, we had plenty to celebrate. RSL came to town looking for 3 points and left like they needed the Utah Jazz to teach them how to actually win something.
Oh, wait.
Why throw shade at one Utah team when you could throw shade at two? What a night it was. We lit the candles for Carlos Vela and inducted him into the first ever LAFC Ring of Honor. It's so much fun being an LAFC supporter right now. And to the anti-LAFC crowd, keep those tears flowing. At least it's the only thing that you and your clubs produce in volume. I may be on a high horse right now. We haven't won anything or secured anything, but they say it's all about the journey, not the but not the destination, right? Hogwash. It's important to get to the destination while enjoying the journey is what I say. And when was the last time we had fun like this? It's been a minute. And I want to enjoy, embrace, because good times or bad times, they too shall pass. But for now, certainly enjoying the highs.
Absolutely. Look, Philly, couple of questions here as we begin the banter. 4 games in 15 days, and we are headed towards all 12 points like I predicted we needed if we were going to make a true run at not only hosting home matches, but maybe third, maybe even second in the standings. I'll share a little MLS table math with all of you at the end of all of this. I am, of course, the middle school math teacher, so I might as well. But Philly, you and I were kind of talking a couple of games ago about wouldn't it be cool if Denis ties or maybe even breaks the record on Noche de Carlos Vela? Boy, were we wrong about that. Philly, I have to reframe a question for you. We've got 5 matches left. Will Denis get to 100 before the end of the season? 3 goals to go. What do you think?
I mean, it's a very strong possibility. It happened so quickly. I mean, that hat trick, you talk about Denis Bouanga breaking Carlos Vela's records. Well, he broke another one because that hat trick was his 4th in MLS regular season play, which puts him past Vela for the most regular season hat tricks in MLS. And on top of that, he's going consistently. Hat tricks with Gabon, a couple with LAFC. And now this attack with Sonny, I mean, they combined have scored the last 14 LAFC goals, going back to that 1-1 draw with FC Dallas. I mean, 8 goals in that time. Sonny's got 6. This has been a ton of fun. And what I think we are the only team in MLS history to have a player record a hat trick in 3 consecutive games. These are pinch me moments, the pinch me moments that we know this club can do. I'm not going to say destined to do because the beginning of the season didn't indicate any of that. But, man, it's been a lot of fun. And, yeah, I'm totally confident in the idea that Denny can break 100. He's 2 away, for Christ's sake. 3 away. Jeez.
3 away. Yeah, look, I've been saying it, though, for quite some time for everybody to just hold on and see what happens after that transfer window closed. We would be a very, very different club. John Thorrington and company, Neil McGuinness and company would remake this club. It didn't work out, Philly, for our New York Metropolitans rebuilding the bullpen, but it is certainly working for LAFC, especially not just rebuilding up top, right? But we have seen meaningful minutes from Ryan Porteous. We have seen meaningful minutes now from young Andy Morin. We have seen meaningful minutes from Matthew Chonier. This has been an incredible transformation of LAFC. I don't, again, want to go back to the Igor Jesus injury. By the way, saw Igor at the stadium as I was walking into the press conference. He is walking a little rough right now. He is in the middle of some PT. He is hurting. Park here says we have no Sunny fans. Take a deep breath, bud. We got a ton. Look, this club has been remade in a more offensive image, offensive to the rest of the league because of the way we're scoring goals now. But that attack really, really looking good as we near the playoffs. Philly, you mentioned it, and I have this question in our rundown, and I wanted to ask you, I'll give my take as well. Last 14 goals scored by Sonny and Denis. The question is that a good thing? Is that a bad thing? Is it neither? Is it both? What do you think about all the goals coming from just 2 players?
I mean, to me, it doesn't matter when we're winning the way we're winning. I mean, look, we've had 3 straight games where we've managed to find the back of the net on 4 occasions. The only other time all season long that we did that was against Seattle back in May. So during regular season play, 4 times we've managed to score more than 4, and 3 out of those 4 coming now with Sonny there. We rode Denis Bouanga all the way up until it started getting sunny in Southern California. And now he adds to the attack as well. What those 2 do, obviously, is have a lot of chemistry together. And while one might garner some attention, that'll leave the other open for an opportunity, as we saw with Sonny's goal from outside of the box. Right now, to me, it's a good thing that it's those 2 because they're capable. They're proven. And sure, others will follow along. To me, there's no question about that. But as long as the goals are coming, to me, it doesn't matter. We don't have to solely rely on one person until their legs fall off. In this case, Denny is happy. You saw him in the press conference with me. We were sitting there, and him and Marky and Sonny, they were all giddy like school kids. It was funny seeing them cackle and banter. They're having so much fun together, and it's because of Sonny's addition into the lineup. The chemistry is working, and yeah, if it's only those 2 that score the rest of the season, who cares? As long as we can continue to get wins and score more than 3 or 4.
Yeah, I do want to say, I want to mention one quick thing. It's very, very different from the Olivier Giroud era, obviously the goals, right? But what I felt like we were doing with Olivier, number one, is trying to force feed the offense going in one particular direction, even Denis Bouanga, trying to kind of force feed Giroud. And also what we've seen from Sonny is something we never saw with Olivier. Sonny is able to create, right? Sonny is able to create his own space. Sonny is able to create his own shot. Sonny is able to run the right channels. Sonny is able to be out in front. And there's so much more. There's so much more of a dynamic presence in the offense now with Sonny. I love Park. We appreciate all of your chat. But if you
we won an MLS Cup before, son, bud. And Denny's almost at 100 goals. And I mean, you don't know what you're talking about, pal. I don't know what you're saying in the chat. None of this makes any sense.
Well, I mean, he's just defending his boy Sonny, and that's okay. But
we've obviously continued to praise the guy. We've gotten to ask him questions in the press conference.
Yeah, absolutely.
For a comment to be like, "Oh, Danny stopped scoring if Son's not there," that's BS. Yeah, he didn't stop beforehand.
We're okay. Everything is good.
I just like to call out stupid comments, and that was a stupid comment.
Yeah, it's okay. We don't have to call them all out. This day in LAFC history, LAFC won that match yesterday, which was Sunday, September 25th. 21st. Back in LAFC history, September 21st, 2019, LAFC salvaged a tie at home against Toronto FC 1-1. That was September 1st, 2019, as Carlos Vela hammering home a penalty shot in the 5th minute of second half stoppage at the death after Latif Blessing was brought down in the box. Philly, what was notable about that match, we've actually talked about this match on this day in LAFC history earlier this season, even though we're now celebrating the anniversary of it today, because it was, of course, the Hello Kitty match. We talked about it previous on our last Hello Kitty match, but it was the first match with all 3 designated players on the field, Carlos Vela, Diego Rossi, and Brian Rodriguez. And it's important to remember, LAFC currently using the 2 designated player, 4 under 22 player system right now, and it is working wonders. And that was also, by the way, the homecoming of Laurent Simon, as he subbed on for Toronto late in the match after leaving LAFC. And then, of course, on the 22nd of 2018, because today's the 22nd, LAFC dominating San Jose at home 2-0 behind a brace from Walker Zimmerman. That's right, Walker Zimmerman getting both goals. It would be nice if we could get a defender to score and kind of break up the 14-goal streak here between Sonny and Denis, but that's okay. LAFC dominated in every way, 18-4 on shots, 8-1 in shots on target, 12-1 on corner kicks. But what's significant about that, Philly, is that LAFC reaches 50 points for the season on that one, something we get to say we did yet again this season after this big win. And Philly, the only bit of news and note that I have is, in no surprise to anybody, both Denis and Son have made the team of the match day 35. Of course they did. Unfortunately, LAFC 2's season looks like it's going to be coming to an end sooner rather than later. They lost 3-1 at home to Real Monarchs. First teamer Adam Saldana got not 1 but 2 yellow cards in that one. That one, of course, turns red, so he'll be suspended for the next to last match in LAFC 2's season. By the way, Philly, 7 red cards on the season for LAFC 2. It has been a rough one, playing a lot of time down a man. Just 2 matches left in their season. Sunday, September 28th at 2 p.m. against St. Louis City 2. And again, they are 11th in their group out of 14, and they need a couple of teams to lose out, and they have to win out in order just to make the playoffs. And that is it for our news, notes, and this day in LAFC history. Philly, it was just 4 days ago. It was 4-1. We had a hat trick. We looked really good. I promise y'all, this isn't just a re-recording of the same episode. Philly, by the way, can I plug one thing real quick? Our fantastic artist in residence, one Dexter Quinn, does incredible work for us. After this episode posts, please go back and take a look at our last 3 covers that Dexter has done. It's not for a lack of originality from Dexter. We just got so excited with his first version of that because of hat trick number 1 that we have instructed Dexter to keep playing that same tune. It's like Rawhide from the Blues Brothers on stage there. All they do is keep playing the same tune. Well, you know what? If we stop scoring hatties, Dexter will make a new cover. But this has been really fun for us, Philly, to ride that wave. Want to say thank you to Dexter. Yeah, again, as I said, this is only the 4th time that we've scored 4 goals. It's been fun. We've been waiting on this for a long time. You talk about how we established 50 points. Well, what? That's 6 out of the 8 seasons that LAFC has been in existence where 50 points or more have been established. The streak is looking good. And again, obviously it's because of the additions that we have. And not just so, I mean, Sonny, obviously the major MVP, but I mean, talk about Andy Morin and his short period of time. We're obviously going to talk about him later on in the game. What an impact he's had relatively quickly. Matthew Chenier also has had a great impact. He's a plug-and-play kind of a player that fits into our system really quickly. And the same thing could be said about Ryan Porteous. His ability to play in center back and also play with a sense of composure that we've lacked, to be quite honest, from our center backs in the past. Those are all good things that have helped benefit and bolster the lineup. And there's still players that haven't even graced
the roster yet. Obviously, we're talking about Belutza being one of them, and Jelson also another one. I mean, we seem to be pretty darn good, and I know you've been riding him all season long, but in Nkosi Tafari, I granted a mistake here and there. If you look at how many times Nkosi Tafari actually was the start of at least the two of the goals that occurred against RSL, I mean, they all start with him and his precision passing coming out of the back. And Nkosi Tafari has come up really big, and he got really close to scoring a magnificent header, which would have contributed to giving Stunny another a goal contribution. But yeah, again, I'm rejoicing because it's been some time. If you not fast forward, if you go back a couple of months, I said we would not be long for the postseason, that we would be a team that might be a first, second round knockout at best. At this point, I'm feeling confident that we're pulling a Seattle Sounders. For the neophytes in the chat and following LAFC, what the Seattle Sounders have had a history of doing is starting off the season really wretchedly, getting hot at the right time, and then making some noise, and then winning trophies in MLS play. They've obviously won a big one this season. I don't think they will continue on with this success, but man, again, it just feels good again to be a fan of LAC, and I'll leave it at that until we get into the game.
And Philly, you know me, I have no problem admitting I have apologized to Yohei Takaoka on occasion. I have apologized to, well, very few other people, if I'm being honest, on occasion on this podcast. But again, Nkosi, I hear you. I know you listen to the pod. We appreciate you tuning in.
Yeah, we had him on Soccer in 60. We've certainly interviewed him.
Absolutely. And I know I've been riding him pretty hard because you know what? He's replacing our captain, Aaron Long. He's replacing an excellent shutdown cornerback. Days of Darrell Rivas. Goodness.
Wow.
Really,
Jets comment from a Patriots fan. Amazing.
No, listen, we never had a Darrell Rivas. That's for sure. I would have loved one of those.
Actually, you did have Darrell Rivas as a Patriots fan.
That's true. He was washed by that point, though. That was it. But look, Nkosi Tafari has been playing very, very, very well. And you're absolutely right. 3 or 4 or 5 times he snuffed out the corner kick from the opposition because because he's able to get up so high. He's putting himself in great position. He had a couple of good clearances, and you're absolutely right. We'll talk about it in just a minute. He almost scored a banger of a header. It wound up being a literal banger off of I believe you call him Charlie Crossbar.
Charlie Crossbar made the save.
Yeah. So let's get into the lineups. Let's talk about just 2 changes for RSL in their lineup. One they had to make because of Victor Olatunji's red card. The other they chose to make because they were trying to make Scarf happy. And that's the bottom line. Goalkeeper Rafa Cabral, the only player to play every single minute for RSL this season. Our condolences. Their back line of Alex Catranes, Brian Vera, who, yeesh, Justin Glad, and DeAndre Yedlin. And by the way, Philly, I texted my RSL collector friend, one of the guys who actually started the MLS collectors card group on Facebook years and years and years ago. And he told me that they have Brian Vera take corner kicks and set pieces for them all the time because apparently he's got that in his bag. So that was kind of fun. In the midfield, the player who some of us came to watch, I was really excited to see Diego Luna. I think, Philly, both you and I, big fans of the kid. Hope he does well.
I admire that kid a lot for reasons that don't go to his ability to draw red cards and controversy.
Brian Ojeda, the 18-year-old Xavier Gozo, and the change in the midfield. Emeka Anelli out, and the pride of Loyola Marymount University, Noah Caliscan, in getting the start for LMU, from LMU for RSL. Lots of letters going on there. And the other change, obviously, Ariath Piol, who almost had one very, very early for Real Salt Lake, and Juan Cruz, who is never again allowed to take a penalty shot. For the 18, Sam Junkwa, Diogo Gonçalves, Willie Agata of our Sporting Kansas City fans back in the day. Emeka Anelli would come into this one, and Jesus Barea was the final sub for RSL in this. He actually scored against LAFC 2 in that 3-1 loss for LAFC 2 just a day or two before this. So getting a goal in MLS Next Pro and then getting some minutes for the MLS club. It's a good week, I think, for Jesus Barea. No relation, I don't believe, to JJ Barea. And that is the lineup for RSL Philly.
Yep. For LAFC, Hugo Lloris, Hugo being steady. Panda and I were talking about this, and it's not anything that'll appear in the stat sheet, but just the distribution from Hugo Lloris. It's just made a world of a difference. Going back to our keepers, Tyler Miller was not intended to be the main starter back in 2018. It should have been Buba Lopez, who ended up getting hurt, and then he came later on. It was part of LAFC's first loss at Bank of California Stadium, and for the most part, went on the back of a milk carton, completely disappeared. Now, while Tyler Miller made some shot stops, he was never really proficient at distribution. You fast forward to some of the other keepers we had. Pablo Cisniega. We had Jamal Blackman for a very short period of time, a former keeper that played with Chelsea. Obviously, the great Maxime Crepeau. I mean, we had Tomas Romero. We had, who am I forgetting? Well, Charlie Lyon never really got any playing time other than in that exhibition against Borussia Dortmund, where he played well, by the way. Yes?
Kenneth Vermeer.
How could I ever forget Kenneth Vermeer, a man who played on the Dutch national team and won so many trophies in the Eredivisie, and he comes into MLS and LAFC, well, obviously on his last legs, because, I mean, he didn't have any legs on him when he made any starts in between the sticks. And, of course, Eldin Jakubovic, who came over from Hull City, now playing, what is it, Chattanooga, I believe? I think that's where he's at.
I think so, yeah.
The reason why I bring all those players up, none of them had the ability and the distribution that Hugo Lloris has. Pay attention to the way he delivers his goal kicks. And then think back to the days of when we had the Tyler Millers. It's a world of a difference. It's a world-class keeper, and it's no question about it. But it's those little intangibles that certainly help things out. Starting in the back line, Sergi Palencia, Ryan Porteous, and Kosi Tafari, who's starting to really warm up to that center back position. And then Artem Smolyakov, to Scarf's point, he expected that Artem was going to get the start. In the midfield, Timothy Tillman, Eddie Segura, Mark Delgado, and up top, David Martinez, Sonny. I love that, man. And Denis Bouanga, players that we would see come off the Pine Pony. We welcome back the former Duke Blue Devil, Portland Timber, and San Jose Earthquake, Jeremy Abobasi, Andy Morin coming in, who had a very good contribution in the game, Yaya Boa, Ryan Hollingshead, I believe it was Frankie Amaya who might have gotten some burn meth.
Shonier.
Oh, yeah. From a distance, from a height, you're right. Number 66, last player to wear that, by the way, Bradley Wright Phillips. From a distance, they kind of look alike, but Matthew Chonier got the start. And
wait. Can you please clarify that you don't mean that from a distance, Bradley Wright Phillips and Matthew Chonier look alike?
No, I don't mean that at all. But yes, that would be the LAFC lineup. And what a lineup it's been. Timothy Tillman coming off of a fresh new, with the ink of a fresh new contract being signed. Same thing can be said about Sergi Palencia. Whether you like it or not, we're stuck with Sergi Palencia, and I know many of you like it. And we're going to be stuck with Timothy Tillman, or whether you like it or whether you don't. And I think that could be a polarizing take at times, but then at other times, that's a positive thing. So let's get into the game. Dude, Carlos Vela night. I got as much of the ceremony on IG Live as I could. Very emotional moment. A lot of people joke that he wouldn't even be in the building or leave at halftime, but he was there the entire time. And what a special way to celebrate his legacy at LAFC, being inducted into the first ever Ring of Honor with his number and his plaque just below the press box and just below where all those championship banners are. Number 10 is not going to be retired. I assume somebody at some point is going to wear number 10, and I'd love to see how that individual buckles under the pressure of that number, because we're always going to look at number 10 with a different set of lenses. That'll be like Manchester United's number 7. I mean, with that number comes a lot of pressure. Or wearing Argentina's number 10, obviously with the legendary players that competed on there. For LAFC, it's going to be our number 10. But Carlos Vela, his contributions get celebrated, and dare I say, looked in a much better shape than I would say we saw him in some of the seasons post-2019. I don't think that's too much of a hot take. What are your thoughts on that?
No, look, you're absolutely right. By the way, his kids got big all of a sudden. That was that was a little bit of a surprise too. It was it was pretty cool to see, first of all, everybody signing the giant. Thank you, Carlos Vela. Gracias, Carlos Vela.
He's going to put that right in his backyard, Scarf.
Yeah, that's going to stay for sure, right in his house. So his kids
possibly in the living room.
Yeah, there you go. His kids will be passing soccer balls off of that thing in a little bit. But he looked very, very happy. He looked like a man who has been on vacation for like a year or two, which must be nice.
Yeah, there's the comment by the Coug in the chat. Vacation agrees with him. Couldn't agree more.
And by the way, what I loved about this version of Carlos Vela is that we saw a lot of personality from Carlos Vela, right? We saw him giving poor old soccer head, giving Angel a hard time when they show Angel's Carlos Vela tattoo on his leg. And he kind of goes, what is this guy thinking? Obviously, he was sitting, by the way, like 3 seats away from where Angel was in that moment. So it was pretty funny that they showed that. That was pretty cool. And obviously, Carlos and Angel get along very, very, very well.
Scarf, when are you going to get a tattoo of me on your leg?
I will not. So I thought that was pretty cool.
Confidence you would.
I loved Carlos Vela leading the shalala afterwards. That was really cool.
At least he was in rhythm. And people have taken that megaphone and it's just been so poorly timed.
And what I loved is he really got into the 32-52, tell him to get a little bit louder, get excited, let's go. So that was pretty cool that was happening, which I really enjoyed that for all of the fans. And obviously, look, to have Carlos, there's no ifs, ands, or buts. If you are starting or ending an LAFC Ring of Honor, it had to be Carlos Vela with the first one. Look, it's the thing about Carlos, Philly, that you and I could agree on. It's not going to be the numbers at the end of the day, right? Because Denis has already passed some of those numbers, will pass more of those numbers. Denis will go into the books. And by the way, can we talk about what Steve Cherundolo said at the end of this when we do our recap? Steve Cherundolo scared the crap out of me, and I'm going to tell you why in just a second at the end of the pod. But the numbers will be there, whatever. Carlos Vela took a chance on LAFC before there was LAFC back in 2017 when he signs on the dotted line. And with all due respect to Denis, the magic of Carlos Vela transferring that ball to his left foot and knowing that that ball was going to curl into the top shelf, knowing that the whole stadium knew what was going on, knowing that the defenders knew what was going on, that the keeper knew what was going on, but you were helpless to stop it. That singular special moment when you knew Carlos Vela was going to transfer that ball to his left foot and magic was about to happen. To me, not even Denis Bouanga has produced moments that feel that same way on a regular basis.
I mean, all fair points. I mean, again, the fact that he did take the gamble is a massive thing. He wanted to leave a legacy. And, he's immortalized at LAFC, and he still has the record for the greatest individual season of any player. Will that record be broken anytime soon? I don't know, but this season, it seems pretty safe with so far the Golden Boot lead belonging to Messi and Denis Bouanga at 22. I don't see 34 happening anytime soon unless Denis continues to average a hat trick per game, and even then, that would be nuts. But Carlos did something incredible. I mean, he had a great career at Real Sociedad. He had some really good seasons, obviously playing with the Mexican national team, that amazing year in 2018 when they beat Germany, the defending World Cup champs. He's had a lot of accolades, going to Arsenal as a teenager, all that, but he is just a piece of history with all of those clubs, minus the national team, of course. With LAFC, obviously, the history begins with him, and it will end with him. 20 to 200 years from now, that name will still resonate. That name will still remember. They'll be singing songs about him, much like they did in the 10th minute. And I would love it if we brought back some fun little chants from back in 2018. But congratulations to him. I know we were hard on him at times on this pod. not because of his ability, but obviously because he treated the game of football much like you and I would treat our 9-to-5s, like a job as opposed to a passion, which is something that we have. But you and I have had the luxury of spending time with him. We got to have lunch with him. We got to chat basketball with him. And all in all, he's just a cool dude. He loves hoops. He loves to make jokes. He loves to have a good time. And like the Coug said, vacation looks good on him. So thank you, El Rey, forever a legend and forever in our hearts.
And by the way, I don't know if LAFC has ever done one, but now we can show him out on the field, out on the pitch, with all of his trophies, the number 10 up in the Ring of Honor. LAFC, it's time for the part of our history post, because now you have inducted Carlos Vela into the Ring of Honor. It's time to show everything out there in one post, part of our history. I want to see it. I want Carlos as part of our history post. We've had almost every other player that comes through, right? They get the part of our history post. It's time for Vela.
Yeah, but come on. None of them got a plaque or a fireworks night. Come on. Now you're just asking for too much.
All right, so Philly, LAFC got lucky yet again in this one, as we're just 9 minutes in, and Diego Luna with a beautiful ball to Piol, who was only in the match because of the red card to Victor Olatunji, and the header over the bar, just in case you were keeping score. It was an XG of 0.39, which means 40% of the time it works every time. That was about to be a goal very early on. LAFC getting lucky, and Philly. Lafferty is just, if you guys aren't in the chat right now, okay, while Philly talks about the next thing that happened, because I don't know, why not? I'm going to put, let's do this one first about Stipe Buke, and then
is he still in Valladolid?
Yeah, right. This one next about Bryce Duke. Lafferty's having a little fun in the chat, and now Lafferty does not believe that Pancho Ginella got a.
No. I want to address one thing real quick here. Don't be surprised. Let's just put it that way. Don't be surprised if this happens. I actually think this is very possible to happen. Call me crazy, but I've seen crazy. I think that could happen at some point.
In 26?
No, not in 26. Oh, sorry, not in 26. Just him being in LA. Don't be surprised.
I hear you. That would be a good one. Philly, it was the 10th minute, right? Where the Carlos Vela chance started. And it was pretty cool. Obviously, starting in the 10th minute for number 10, for El Rey. Just all throughout the stadium for the entire minute or two. Hugo makes an easy save. We're kind of coasting through the first 13, 14 minutes. And then Brian Vera tells y'all what you can do with Noche de Carlos Vela.
Dude, at some point, you just have to tip your hat and go, bravo. I mean, that was a bombastic cruise missile. That was unbelievable. It happened so quick, just off of a quick play in on the corner. I mean, you blink your eye. That went right to the upper left corner. Nothing Lloris could have done. Could a defender have gotten in the way of that? Not if they wanted to maintain their head on top of their neck. That would have devastated somebody and put you into concussion protocol. Yes, Bam says it in the chat. No one was stopping that goal. No, not even the Berlin Wall, had it still been up, would have stopped that shot. Incredible goal. And at that point, I wasn't even worried. I will be completely frank with you. You can be Scarf. I'll be frank. I was not at all worried about any of it. Yeah, right. There's your dad joke. Any more cornier, I'd be all ears. Now I'm really done. But I had no issues with the idea that we were going to lose the game. There's just something about the atmosphere in the building. The 32-52 was certainly on one, felt mildly like a playoff environment. The tifo was incredible. We didn't even talk about the tifo and the multiple tifos. It felt like a special night. That was just you're always going to get contact in a heavyweight bout. That was the first punch. And luckily, the only punch that would truly land.
I think, by the way, everybody in the North End got to take home part of that Carlos Vela jersey tifo by the end of it.
That's cool.
That was, look.
You mean because it tore?
Because it tore, yeah. So Brian Vera hits a lightning bolt, right? But can we talk first about the pass from Noel Caliscan to Brian Vera. LMU's very own gets the assist. Let's not forget that on the play. By the way,
Where'd
if you're
Caliscan go to high school?
What's that?
Where'd Caliscan go to high school?
I don't know where he went to high school. Do you?
No, I'm just asking. Is this Philly Phil like Levanko? If it is, give me a clue that only I would understand. It would be great to have him as a place kicker. The kid from Dallas has proved that soccer players can make very good kickers in the NFL, which, by the way, that's probably going to be your next Disney story. Again, don't be surprised. That's all I'm saying.
Turns out Brandon Aubrey's pretty good. But that assist, that strike, that's how you draw it up on the training ground. It was an absolutely beautiful, beautiful play. Props to Brian Vera. LAFC got a corner just a couple minutes later, and it was Ryan Porteous with a header over the bar. It was a beautiful ball by Sonny. So that Vince Papale, dear God. So that was a nice little corner. And then Philly, unfortunately, in the 20th minute, we were just starting to shower this guy with praise, saying that the new lineup and the new configuration has worked really well for one Timothy Tillman. But unfortunately, he picks up a yellow card in the 20th minute. And all that means is that Timothy Tillman gets to be a spectator for the match in St. Louis. That is yellow card accumulation, which, by the way, Denis Bawanga is on yellow card accumulation watch, everybody. Timothy Tillman picks up the yellow card in the 20th minute. So unfortunately, that means he'll miss the match against St. Louis. And Philly, I love the little 1-2. We've seen it so many times now in these last 3 or 4 matches. The little 1-2 between Denis and Sonny. And in the 25th minute, it almost produced a couple of pretty fantastic moments.
Look, that 25th, that play does not happen without that pass from David Martinez. That's what started up. When these scenarios happen, I like to see where the buildup comes from, because I do believe in the hockey assist. I always have. I love hockey. Martinez got that play going, and obviously a quick ticky-tock. Cabral was on a good one, though. He made some really good saves, and that wouldn't be the only save that he would make. But he wouldn't be credited for the save that would come seconds after that corner. We talked about it before. It was the header from Nkosi Tafari after the corner from Sun. Nkosi came really close. Cabral got beat. It hit that bottom part of Charlie crossbar, but CC makes the save, and Cabral gets bailed out, because right then and there, that should have been the equalizer, but it was not to be. And I wanted it so bad because of how Nkosi Tafari's continue to get better and better and better every game. You'll notice the mistakes. Everybody always notices the mistakes, but he's been such a part of the offense, creating motion and action from the back line. His passing, for the most part, precise. I really wanted him to get that goal, man. I really did.
And honestly, like he's 6'4". He gets up like few players do in Major League Soccer. It's going to come. He's done it before. Really excited to see his emergence into the offense. You had Denis with another step over and a shot, which was saved for a corner. In the 38th minute, you had Sonny with a perfect ball to David Martinez, which was deflected and saved for a corner. But I want to mention, in the 33rd minute, I think it was actually the 32:52 mark of the match, is when the drums and the drums only started coming from the North End for a member of the Expo Originals and a drummer in the North End, Dustin, who passed away earlier this month after a battle with cancer. It was picked up by everybody in the stadium. Everybody heard and felt that moment. That's what I thought was most surprising. There were probably 20,000 people in that stadium who didn't know Dustin. And yet, because of the camera work, whoever, and I should know who this person is, and I apologize, Philly, if you know, let me know. But whoever's in charge of like game day production and what goes on that board, they did a fantastic job. They did a fantastic job of zooming in on both the shirts that were made in memory of Dustin and the armband on several of the capos that they were wearing in memory of Dustin. And sorry, I just had something fall here. And it was really moving to see the way that the rest of the stadium picked up on what was happening, and everybody began to just clap along with our drummers who kept drumming in the north end. It was a very somber moment for sure, but an incredible tribute to pay to Dustin. And look, I'm going to make an interesting, weird, I don't know how to segue away from this, but Philly, I think stoppage time was incredible tribute to Dustin as well, because LAFC broke out of it and in a great way.
Very great way indeed. And it starts with Nkosi Tafari. He finds Artem Smolyakov, who had a brilliant touch in on that left flank. And that, again, that's not the first time that we've seen Tafari make some really nice passes from distance. His long balls, his long passes have really been on point. And sorry, I never quite grew up. Ball goes to Artem. Denis by way of an RSL defender. I think it was Justin Glad. It happened so quickly. But then his son back to Denis. And then boom, that brings in the equalizer. That tiki-taka, the chemistry. Once again, I'm not a science major, but I know chemistry when I see it. Son to Denis, goal. Fantastic. But it all starts from the back line. And we're feeling pretty darn good about ourselves, but that wasn't the only goal that we would see before both teams headed into the locker room.
No, and then let's give Denis his flowers pretty quickly, right? 20th goal for the third straight season. Obviously, no one has ever done that in Major League Soccer. I believe, by the way, the only player ever with 3 seasons of 20 or more goals is Bradley Wright Phillips, another LAFC connection to that record. But the first player to do it in 3 straight seasons was Denis Bouanga. Congratulations to Denis, obviously. Goal number, 95 in an LAFC shirt at that point. And then Sonny. Sonny got taken down in the box. A lot of people thought that should have been a penalty shot. I didn't go back and I didn't go back and take a look at the replay on whether that should have been a penalty or not. Because like one of my favorite lines from one of my favorite movies, Meatballs, it just doesn't matter. It just doesn't matter, because Son Heung-min took matters into his own hands, took one touch from the left of the box, David Martinez with the little feed over to Sonny. And just like Ryan Hollingshead needs to thank Sonny for picking up an assist last match, David Martinez can get a little high five from Sonny on picking up an assist with a banger off the inside of the far post and in. It was a beautiful goal. It was a world-class goal. And just like that, down 1-0 to up 2-1. It was LAFC basically just sweeping the leg, Johnny, right before halftime. And we go into the half, Philly, and everything's starting to feel right on Carlos Vela night.
6 goals in 7 matches for Sonny. Already doubling the entire mark of Olivier Giroud. And I mean, look, it wasn't that hard to double 3. It really wasn't. And I feel bad harping on it, but, you know, some designated players haven't worked out for us in the past. And obviously that's a laundry list, starting with, of course, Andre Horta back in 2018, although he's had a fairly fine career playing in Champions League in Europe for teams like Benfica and Olympiacos. So he's done all right for himself. But Sonny, incredible, man. His speed, he's deceptively fast. And honestly, like, until you stand right by him, you don't realize how tall he is either. At one point after we got done with the press conference, I had to go to the bathroom. The bathroom is in that part of the stadium, like underneath everything, is close to where the entrance to the players' lockers are. So I see Paul, team security Paul, in the distance, and I'm thinking, all right, somebody's there, but you know, no big deal. I could skirt by Paul and hit the can. But there's Sonny taking photos with a couple of people, and of course, I didn't want to be rude, jump in front of photos, and I had to wait. And wait, and wait, until my bladder couldn't wait anymore. I just tell, hey, Paul, I got to go. And then walking by Sonny, the dude's a whole head taller than I am, which I never realized that. Obviously, looking on TV, they're about this big. It's a totally different animal. But what was my point? He's a great player. There we have it. The career that he's had and how it's blossomed. I mean, he started out in Hamburg, goes to Leverkusen. Obviously, we all mainly know him from his time at Tottenham. But I'd have to go back in the archives to see how quickly he adopted each and every one of those respective systems that I mentioned prior to LAFC, because I don't know if he scored as many goals as quickly for Hamburg, Leverkusen, or Tottenham as he has with LAFC. I could be wrong. I don't want to say that. I don't know for a fact. He spent over a decade at Tottenham. I forgot what I did yesterday, let alone what happened 10 years ago. But if somebody in the chat knows, that'd be kind of a cool statistic to find out.
Well, Philly, the thing I am sure of is he is producing more XG, more XA, more expected contributions.
More X to C?
Yeah, than at any point in his career. And I know a lot of pundits will say, well, yeah, that's because he's playing in MLS now. But look, world-class talent is world-class talent. Sonny has come out of the gates an absolute racehorse. He looks incredible.
It's amazing.
And again, putting up the best numbers of his career. Park, you'll never find us disagreeing with you if you tell us the refs are bad. We agree.
No, if you notice the badge on their kits, it says pro. We all agree that it's an acronym for pretty rancid officiating. So we're in agreement with you. And by the way, I apologize for being salty a little earlier. I'm a little tired. It's been a long day. So my apologies. But thank you for sticking around. I did want to acknowledge you and apologize because I was a bit of a prick earlier.
Philly just every now and then gets to be the old man, get off my lawn. That's what he does. That's okay.
Oh, man, you always make fun of the fact that I'm the old man.
Look,
whatever, gray-haired goose.
That's right. Couple of big saves by both keepers. Cabral with a heck of a save on Sonny in the 52nd minute. And then Diego Luna with a beautiful shot from distance. And Hugo Lloris has to push it over the bar after the hour mark. And then Philly, we change our shape just a little bit in the 70th minute with Matthew Chonier on for Timothy Tillman, Ryan Hollingshead on for Artem Smolyakov, and Andy Morin on for David Martinez. Now we look like we're in more of like a 4-4-2 kind of formation with those two boys up top. We don't need to tell you who they are. And Philly, it was just 3 minutes after the subs. And can we talk about Andy Morin for a minute? Like really a beautiful dime from Andy Morin to Denis Bouanga, 21 goals on the season, pulling him even with Sam Surridge, one behind Lionel Messi. And Philly, my favorite part, it was the binoculars. It was the Carlos Vela binoculars and then the kiss. He goes over, he hugs El Rey, and then does Carlos's celebration to Carlos's family. Oh, what a cool night. What a cool moment. Denis Bouanga just gets it.
Before I get into that part, Nkosi Tafara is the one who connected with Andy Morin. I'm just saying, if you go back to the videotape, Nkosi Tafara started that off. And Andy Morin, just to have the wherewithal to break through and get that pass in. I mean, he completely split. I think it was Yedlin and Justin Glad to connect with Denis. And I mean, he chips it past Cabral. I mean, these are the moments you have to take a step back and just appreciate everything. I mean, we've been consistently good and it's been fun. And I've enjoyed every bit of it, as I'm sure many of you all have. But to have Denis run over to Carlos Vela, class, just pure class. And you could tell the admiration. We asked him in the very beginning of the season. I asked him myself as he was approaching, I think, the 85 mark about what it would feel like to break Carlos Vela's record. And if you recall, he started that out by basically acknowledging the fact that he's an icon. That's the word that he's continued to use to describe Carlos Vela, icon. But of course, he also say in his subtle French way that, I mean, he wants to set these records. But total class. And Carlos is feeling it too. And people were asking, do you think people that Carlos is upset that Denis broke his record? Nah. Not even in the least bit, because Carlos Vela is forever solidified as a hero and as a legend in Los Angeles.
Yeah, I love LAFC's quote here in our chat. Real recognizes real. By the way, real recognizing real with Sonny after the game, giving his jersey to Carlos on that night too. So cool. So many cool things to talk about.
He signed it too. I would have loved to have known what it was that he signed on there.
Right. I mean, he has a really big, long signature that he did pretty big on that jersey, which was kind of cool. Philly, we saw the Tifo come back out in the 81st minute. That was fun.
That was fun.
And then the second Tifo came out, and then everybody got a piece of the North End. There were a couple of boos, a couple of disappointments in the 85th minute, as Sonny came off for Jeremy Ebobisse. Poor guy. Jeremy Ebobisse is finally coming back from injury. But Philly, I love the fire from Sergi Palencia. He and Diego Luna kind of going at it a little bit there in the 86th minute. Much ado about nothing, whatever. But what I was really happy about, I think it was Sergi Palencia, right, on the goal from Denis, who knocks down the attempted clearance with his leg. The ball goes to Jeremy Ebobisse, and then Jeremy finding Denis.
Actually, that's where the split between Yedlin and Glad came in.
Yeah.
The fatigue clearly has set. That was a great pass by Ebobisse.
And look, really happy that Jeremy Ebobisse gets on the score sheet on this one, or gets a goal contribution on this one. We've been kind of searching for moments with Jeremy Ebobisse this season. He came in. Some had talked about him as a replacement, maybe for Kai Kamara, looking for some goals. It hasn't really happened the way that we would have liked in terms of putting balls in the back of the net. But now, since Sonny's come on, since everything has changed, Chonier and Porteous and Morin and all these guys, I'm really interested to see how a veteran who can score goals but also can set them up in Jeremy Ebobisse kind of adapts to this new version of LAFC. And, oh, by the way, Denis Bouanga tied for the Golden Boot with some guy named Messi.
I wanted to ask him what his thoughts are regarding that, how he came in and how he got close, but it was Justin Ruderman, much to the ire of the man who we don't want to bring him up on the pod, but yeah, Justin Ruderman. He got some people a little upset, and not.
Listen, I don't want to say doghouse, but at least for the moment, Justin Ruderman got scolded.
We love you, Justin.
We love Justin. Let's be
Justin
very
Ruderman
clear.
writes for MLS. He's a hell of a writer, talented crap. I think we knew him when he was still at SC, and look at him now writing at MLS. Good on him.
And Philly, he's been grinding to do what he does. Really happy for Justin Ruderman. Philly, there were 5 minutes of stoppage time. None of them mattered, however. LAFC coming out with 4-1. And what I love most about it, Philly, is the club's tweet after was 8-2 on aggregate. LAFC, whoever runs your Twitter, chose violence that night. I am here for it.
Yep, 8-2 on the aggregate, 2 consecutive games of 4-1. Yeah, it was a nice thing. I mean, they held on to possession the longest. Park, have a good night. I feel like I've been sleeping throughout this podcast myself, so crazy times. If Denny hits the Golden Boot, the Coug wins $1,000. Where do we want to go celebrate? Let's go to Musso and Frank's. Let's go to Musso and Frank's in Hollywood. They have a good sidecar there at the bar. We'll just have we'll have a good meal on the Coug. We'll do it that way.
I love it. You're spending all of his $1,000.
Spending all of his money. And it's going to be just basically on our drink tab. LAFC had a whole bunch of shots on target when all was said and done. So many shots on target last night that I'm pretty sure the RSL defense filed for workman's comp. They've been a lot better with their shots and their shots on target. And that's going to get you results. 4 goals on those 9 shots on target. Their XG was 1.3, as was RSL's, exceeding expectation. And when you are dominating in the way that you do, it's always going to happen. The opposing team is going to dominate in possession. But what LAFC has done is proven that they're even deadlier now in transition than that they've been in the past since 2022 and 2023 when it was still Carlos, Denis, and Chicho. Sonny, it's the Sonny effect without a doubt. But great game. Only the 4th time this season where we scored 4 goals and 3 consecutive games in a row with 3 consecutive hat tricks. Feels good to be black and gold.
And Philly, I do want to say one other thing. I came off of the last match a little upset that we allowed 58% possession to 42, a little upset that we allowed 21 shots. This match felt completely different than 4 days ago. And we still allowed them. Ooh, Henry, sit tight. I've got math for you. We still allowed them 55% of the possession, but it felt different. We still allowed them 21 shots allowed, 42 shots allowed in the 2 matches. but only 4 of these made it on target. LAFC found a way to shut me up without really changing too many of the statistics because of the way they defended earlier up the pitch, in my opinion. They were snuffing things out earlier, and they really did a wonderful job. Really proud of this club defensively, how they were able to turn around in just 4 days. Oh, by the way, that might have something to do with Steve Cherundolo. Turns out the guy might be a pretty good coach when you don't hamstring him with an old Frenchman who doesn't have hamstrings anymore. It's one of those things that's a little frustrating whenever Dolo gets crapped on by a lot of our fan base, and he does. They're very quick to give somebody like Sonny, rightfully so, somebody like Denis, rightfully so, somebody like Ugo, rightfully so, a lot of the credit. But as far as I know, it's still Steve Cherundolo and staff that are putting together the match day plans, the tactics. And how do you argue with the last 3 matches? Sure, we've given up 4 goals in 3 matches, but we've scored 12, folks. If you're going to win, let's win like LMU basketball. I mean, come on, this is a lot of fun. Get out and run. And oh, by the way, we are 3 points away and 1 match in St. Louis, who has been rough, from running this gauntlet and picking up all 12 points.
For those of you born past 1990, when Scarf made a reference to LMU basketball, I know many of you thinking, what? But LMU in 1989 and 1990 was one of the most high, it might still hold the record for one of the highest scoring teams statistically in NCAA history. It was in 1990 where they defeated the defending champs Michigan 149-115 a couple of weeks after the great Hank Gathers died. So I wanted to make sure I put it into context because Scarf, sometimes we may date ourselves with a lot of these references that we make. We forget that we're both living on the 4th floor and that there's people in the chat that some of them were born the year you and I graduated college, which is sad. By the way, shout out Chips. You're one of them. Thank you for listening to the show. We're old.
Yeah, and real quick before I get into my math, we'll talk about LAFC and where they can finish in the table, and then I think I'm going to wrap up. I'm going to stop talking. I want to give a quick shout out to Dosan Lozano, who is in the hospital right now. I know that your dad listens to us and you want to be at the stadium to see your favorite player, Sonny. You've been following Sonny for what, 10 years almost now, something like that. You're 14. So, I mean, that's all your life. Dosan's going through some stuff right now, and the Lozano family is an incredible family, up and founders. We've known each other since 2018, and just an incredible dad with 2 incredible boys. And Dosan's really fighting right now. He had to have a pretty big medical procedure. He looks like he's going to come out on the other side okay. But I know that you are likely listening. If the Lozano family is listening, please know that the defenders and everybody in our corner, we are all thinking of Dosan and you guys. So I wanted to mention that before we go on our rant and then close out the episode. So Philly, we finished what? 4th now in the table with 5 matches to go. We are at 50 points, like we mentioned, in this day in LAFC history. So you get 3 points in each of those 5 matches, which, by the way, would be a pretty fun win streak to close out the season. We can get to 65 points. And at least it's in our destiny. Thank you, Alexandra. At least it's in our destiny, Philly. If we get to 65, we can pass Minnesota. Minnesota is on 54 points with 3 matches left. Do the math. That gets you to 63. That's
also struggling too.
Yo, they are really struggling right now. That's assuming both clubs win out. We can get to 3rd. Vancouver is making life very, very difficult for us. They are on 55 points with 5 matches to play. We are on 50 points with 5 matches to play. And they just put up a touchdown on Philadelphia. So they can get to 70. And I don't think we're going to catch Vancouver. But the interesting one is this, Philly. Just 3 matches left in what has been heretofore a dream season for San Diego. 57 points with 3 matches left. 9 points remaining. They can get to 66. We can get to 65. The longer we keep the pressure on San Diego, on Minnesota, I mean, who knows, on Vancouver, the longer we keep the pressure up, it starts with 3 points in St. Louis, we can creep out of 4th and at least into 3rd, maybe even 2nd.
Oh, you're done.
Yeah.
I was just enthralled in the arithmetic of one math teacher. No, this is good stuff. Yeah, this is all very strong possibilities. Very strong. And it's so exciting. I just hope we don't lay an egg against St. Louis. By the way, St. Louis has never beaten us. And I hope I didn't just jinx us. I don't believe in the broadcasters or the podcasters curse, but just wanted to throw that out there. There are 2 more little fun statistics that I want to throw out there before I close things out, because I'm beat. Starting my days at 5:30 in the morning kills me, in particular for a night owl and a former guitar player in a rock and roll band. But for those who like to keep track and stats, Hugo Lloris is now just 1 win shy of equaling Tyler Miller's club record of 34 regular season victories. And he's also 1 appearance shy of tying Tyler Miller's club record of 61 games played in goal. I say this because there's a certain listener to the show that'll be walking his dog tomorrow that'll probably feel sick at the simple mention of this. I just want to give you a shout out, and I look forward to hearing from you. I always do.
I want to point out, Philly, you have brought Tyler Miller up twice now today.
Yeah. Look, because Hugo Lloris, because it's not just Carlos Vela's records that are getting broken. It's Tyler Miller's. And 1 more for the Dolo out folk. To your point, Scarf, Dolo ball, for what it was worth, still put and always consistently put LAFC in a position to score. Just being able to is a different story. But that win against RSL, that's Steve's 99th win in his managerial career. So Steve will break 100 in a statistical category of wins. And then shortly after, Denis will break 100 goals. So records are meant to be broken. So just wanted to make sure that you were all aware of that, because I love keeping up with this stuff. We are literally watching history in the making. And these will be trivia questions at some point on the show, or maybe on an LAFC thing where you could win an autographed jersey. And we want you to be educated, as that is one of our many goals on the show, informed and hopefully entertained. That is my piece. I'm sleepy, man.
I love Coog puts it best. Let's send Dolo off with another MLS Cup. Steve Cherundolo still doing the one. By the way, Philly, 100 could happen for both of them in the same game the way Denis is going.
Yeah, so. Yeah. Wouldn't that be crazy? Wouldn't that be crazy? We tried to will in Denny breaking Carlos's record on Carlos Vela night. Let's see if we can will this one into existence. And one more thing, we talked about some of these crazy things, maybe like a Harry Kane coming into MLS type deal. Maybe, just maybe, the timing could be right. Steve's club in the Bundesliga, where he made a big impact as a player, Hannover 96, is so far in the top 3 in the fight the Bundesliga. They need to finish top 2 to be guaranteed an opportunity of promotion. 3rd place as them in a playoff battle. Could it be that Hannover 96 moves on over to the Bundesliga at the same time Steve makes his move to Germany and then takes on a role there? I don't know, but crazier things have happened. Just saying.
So here's what I'm hearing from Philly. 2 things as we close out our episode. LAFC is going to play Hannover 96 on a friendly at BMO Stadium in a couple of years. And
no, it better be Bayern before Hannover 96.
Well, Philly is trumpeting for the 2nd player inducted into our Ring of Honor to be none other than Tyler Miller. That's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. That's how
I was going to agree with Scarf, and then I got high.
That's how I'm closing out the episode, you guys. Thank you all for joining. However you access Defenders of the Bank content, please like, subscribe, do all the things that you do to all the buttons. And thank you once again. This has been episode 383. Noche de Carlos Vela. Denis Bouanga with another hat trick. And we say...
Vela, 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 Vela.